for the people who say, oh, Trump is no big deal, I'm going to go ahead and vote for him. Oh, I see some of y'all comments on Instagram. So, student loan debt relief. He said this at a rally in Wisconsin. What's going to happen if he gets in Oval Office again?
Today is an illegal, unconstitutional amnesty without approval from Congress, no approval from the courts or the American people, but he never does that. He did that with the tuition, and that didn't work out too well. He got rebuked, and then he did it again. It's going to get rebuked again, even more so. It's an even more vile attack. But he did that with tuition just to get the publicity for the election. He doesn't care about that. He just wants to see if he can get it by the election.
Trump adds the part that that you didn't hear there. Trump said, oh, if I get back in, I'm revoking that $167 billion. All those folks who are talking about they considering voting for Trump, okay, go right ahead and see what happens. They are going to revoke that money. Lauren?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, for African Americans in this country, the better choice, certainly in this particular race, would be Joe Biden. I'm not a particular fan, though, of criticizing black voters who may feel a sense of apathy. When we think about Louisiana and Angola prison, we've had some Democratic governors sitting there, and Angola prison was Angola prison when they were in office as well. I think that part of what we see with black voters is we've been through a lot. We do show up. And when we do show up, what happens is our level of showing up is not met with the political action that we put into this democracy. Despite everything that this country has put us through, we're the ones who fought and died for the vote. We're the ones who set the policy that has helped other groups. And so I'm just not a big fan of giving any sort of guff to black voters. I think there are other groups that need some criticism before African Americans in this country, because we do show up and we do vote for the things that help the greater good time and time again. And the question is, what are we getting out of it? And I do think that a lot of black voters have hit a level of apathy that is reflected sometimes in places like Louisiana.
Greg?
I agree. It's difficult. Wow. We have, and we've gone through arguably the greatest collective trauma in human memory.
Yeah.
The fact that we're saying it all is, as a collective, I think is a triumph of the human will and spirit. So I agree with you, Lauren. It's hard, at the same time that we see what should be rational. And as you say, Reese, what the fuck are y'all doing? The explanation is clear. I mean, we are under perpetual assault. I read something the other day, maybe today in USA Today, 1 out of every 5 voters who's going to say they're going to vote say that student loans are important to them. 40 million people in this country owe a total of $1.77 trillion. But then when you interject class into the conversation, people who don't go to college of any form, community college, skill college, barber college, any form of it, Johnson & Wales for culinary arts, university, whatever, there's often a contempt. And, that's the same kind of contempt that drives people who should absolutely know better to vote for Donald Trump, to vote against their class interests, to vote against everything, because they feel some form of, we're going to get you, we're going to get you. And so a fool, a carnival barker, a damn reality show fool can tell them something. And it's not that they believe it, it's just that it makes them feel better. And this is what the Democratic Party doesn't understand. I don't think that anyone who thinks that we're living in a country where there are rules understands. This man will say anything. And the people who are listening to him want to believe anything. And so as a result, we find ourselves on the horns of a dilemma. We've got to, it comes back around to what you were talking about earlier as it relates to organization. We've got to put our heads down, put these blinders on, and work like hell to stitch together as many people as possible who will fight, because we're living in a shitstorm of a society where people are so beat down, as Gil Scott Heron would say, another set of victims too whipped to choose. And so, other than that, I don't know.
Reese, final comment.
My final comment is, listen, yes, black voters, emphasis on voters, not non-voters, black voters carry democracy on our backs. If you don't vote, what the fuck are you doing? I will maintain that. If you voting with the white nationalists, what the fuck are you doing? I will maintain that. Trump has told you that he's going to do the same shit that we voted his ass out for last time. Actually, even worse. But for some reason, it's not clicking to people. For some reason, they have this fantasy of things changing for the better, of Trump actually fighting inflation, of Trump actually helping black people. You're delusional. You're delusional or you're stupid. I don't know which one it is, but I'm just running out of tolerance and patience for it. So we do a lot of coddling. We do a lot of pleading and begging and trying to appeal to people's intelligence, appeal to their rational sense of being, appeal to their humanity. And it's not clicking with enough people. And so I'm just going to try something different this one time. Wake the fuck up. Please grow up and figure out what kind of country you want to live in. Because even if you don't think that things are that great right now, it's only going downhill with Trump, with the white Christian nationalists, and all these motherfuckers who's coming for you. If you don't like to hear that, then guess what? Vote.
Thanks.
Prove me wrong.
When COVID happened, poor people were dying at a rate already of 800 people a day. Before COVID, if you went to a funeral every single day, it would take you 600 years to attend all the funerals of the people who will die from the ravages of policy violence, poverty, and low wages in America in just 1 year. It would take you 2 years and 19 days to go to all of the funerals of the people that will die today, and oftentimes silence. Nobody talks about this political genocide, but we are determined today to remember their death and be a resurrection of voting power and voice power like never before.
Economic justice and saving this democracy are deeply connected. We, as a nation, must listen to the demands of the poor, who are pushing and will continue to push political candidates and elected leaders to lift from the bottom so that everybody can rise.
Take back the mic! Take back the mic! Take back the mic! Take back the mic!
We are the poor, the marginalized, and the underpaid. And we are taking one step forward to say that everybody has a right to live.
Poverty is not the fault of those who are impoverished. It is caused by those who make the policy.
There are over 135 million poor and low-wage, low-income people in this nation.
The biggest block of potential voters by far is low-income, low-wage voters.
I can't afford medicine. Sometimes I have to skip because of the cost.
The farm worker community is tired of the violence imposed upon us by greed, exclusion, and denial of basic human rights.
Those folk that represented by that casket, poor and low-wage workers who are the most moral people in this country because they go to work every day believing, even though going to work is hazardous to their health.
I'm tired of working 70 to 80 hours a week and still not have money for the necessity of bills. I'm tired of getting sick and not being able to go see the doctor. Having to make a choice to pay between rent or the light bill or food or clothes.
You cannot claim to care about families and a culture of life and then do everything in your power to rob people of equal access to resources and to force them to live in poverty.
Leadership of both parties had waged war on poor people and low-wage workers.
And this government has treated people experiencing poverty, including their military families, with disdainful, deliberate, malicious neglect.
So the truth is that my son died from poverty.
We refuse to accept poverty as the fourth leading cause of death.
The fourth leading cause of death in this, the richest country in the world.
We march today for our children and the generations to come.
And we need to do it with the loudest voices possible, the biggest actions possible.
We will voice our demands and register our vote.
When we stand up and when we stand together, things change.
There is the electorate that is, and then there is the electorate that should be.
34 million eligible poor and low-income voters did not vote in 2016. If just 20% of those voters in swing states were mobilized around an agenda, they could change the political outcome of every election. So we're launching the most massive voter mobilization and turnout campaign in history of poor and low-wage voters, allies, and religious leaders.
People are dying, but we know it doesn't have to be this way. And so we are calling on everyone to join us in this Poor People's Campaign, a national call for more revival.
We are here, we will be seen, we will be heard, and our power will be felt. We don't need to be an insurrection. We are a resurrection that will be felt across this country. Are you ready? Ready, ready, ready. We are a resurrection, and we are ready.